Hello and welcome to Insurance Business TV for our second cyber panel looking at the cyber insurance market in New Zealand. We've assembled our panel of experts. Damien Shade is Client Director of Professional and Financial Risks at Lockton. Declan Thompson is a commercial broker with GSI Insurance Partners. And Jono Su is Head of Cyber New Zealand for Marsh. All our guests are in Auckland. Welcome, everybody. But let's kick off with a question about this soft debate, which seems to be kind of ongoing. The cyber market is seen by many as soft. Firstly, how soft do you think it is, and what's changed, if anything, in the last few months? Damien, before you answer that, firstly, welcome to the panel.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be part of these presentations.
So what do you think? How soft are things?
Yeah, interesting question. Really such a crazy dynamic in the market at the moment. We're still seeing new insurers joining and participating. There's more capacity coming in from Australia and globally, and even local insurers that operate New Zealand from a global perspective are entering the cyber market now that have never entered it before. So we're just seeing more and more insurers fighting for the same premium. So that's keeping the pricing at a level which still makes it ultra competitive.
Great. Well, thanks for that. And Declan, firstly, welcome to the panel.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The pleasure. Yeah, what do you think? How soft is the market, and what's changed in the last few months?
Yeah, I do think we're at it's definitely in the last few months, we've definitely seen like the crux of the softening market. I think not only in terms of favorable pricing, favorable terms, but also it's nice to sort of see some of the insurers, just make things a little bit easier for some of these SME clients and even the larger corporates, just making things a little bit easier for them to obtain some cyber cover. So yeah, that's definitely that's always beneficial for clients. So.
Yeah, thanks, Declan. And Jono, in position 3 there, you were telling me earlier that you're noticing more insurer appetite across cyber.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me. Yeah, look, it's just echoing what the guys have said. It's there's a lot more, I guess, a lot softer than expected at this time of the year. I think we all expected it to maybe bottom out by the end of 2024, but yeah, just to Damien's point, now there's a lot of overseas markets coming in as well. So sort of what we're saying locally is there's a lot of mouths to feed, but not really all the business to go around. The insurers know that. They know it's a soft market. No one wants to lose what's on their books, but at the same time they want to grow theirs. So certainly it's great playing conditions from a broking side.
And Jono, let's stick with you. What do you see as a couple of drivers of these great playing conditions, as you call it?
Yeah, well, I'd say it almost goes back to maybe 18 months ago. We started in when the US wanted to bring a lot of their capacity back onshore, took a lot of that out of the UK cyber market, and then the UK needed to look to other regions. And in Australia and New Zealand is still really ripe for that. I said that the penetration rate in our region is still really, really low. So look, I think there's a lot of it's not just cannibalizing what already in play with policies. I guess with current insureds, a lot of it is still the biggest competitor is really the non-buyer. So huge, yeah, just again lots of appetite there, even though claims are still really steady, if not they are trending upwards. So yeah, interesting developments.
And Damien, how do you see the developments in terms of what's driving this softness?
Yeah, further to Jono's point, it's really interesting dynamic because we're still getting quite a high claims frequency. So we're seeing still some large loss events and lots of claims, but then more insurers wanting to drive the premium down. So it's kind of a sort of an unusual market dynamic. Generally, you'd see it on the other side when the market's quite benign and there's not a lot of claims, but it's quite unusual, the cyber market. So it's definitely certainly a different dynamic.
And Declan, you were more or less agreeing with your colleagues there. You were talking about just the bigger insurer appetite is driving this market.
Yeah, I think that the guys have sort of hit the nail on the head to summarize it really well. I think another thing that maybe is providing some comfort for insurers is just like, I'll call it like improved cyber hygiene. I think that like cyber in general, we're seeing improved, like, MFA is becoming a pretty widespread thing. Endpoint detection, business continuity plans, all that kind of thing is just becoming more and more common for businesses to have. So maybe some of it is just some improved comfort for insurers. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look back on the last few months. We had a lot of big attacks for our last cyber panel to talk about. I'm just interested to sort of know what you guys have been watching in terms of news about cyber attacks and what's caught your attention. Declan, could we start with you? What's captured your attention in terms of cyber attacks in recent months?
Yeah, sure. I guess the Marks and Spencer's one overseas is probably a hot topic at the moment. So I think that's an interesting one purely from an insurance perspective. It'd be interesting to see what comes of that and how much of that tower is eroded. Well, I guess we'll find out more in the coming weeks. But from a client side, it's really interesting how, like, I guess it's important to see how even well-established retailers like M&S can still be vulnerable, and how sophisticated and some of these attacks can be. So yeah, I guess that was an interesting one.
And Jono, Declan, stealing your thunder there a little, Marks and Sparks attack also caught your attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always interesting when something like that sort of pops its head above all the noise. It seems like there's almost a cyber incident every day if you sort of check the cyber news. But I think the fact that it's sort of been going for so long, obviously it's the major brand, major retailer, global reputation. It's having the online shopping platform go down. I think it's a very easy thing to relate to for any business in the retail space. They are essentially losing millions of dollars a day in trade. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with their tower. I think just it's not necessarily a cyber attack, but the other one that sort of got in the spotlight for us was the Spain and Portugal energy outage. There was sort of the first 48 hours where it was, is this a cyber attack or not? But I think just seeing the consequences of, it turned out it wasn't, but certainly it does go to show how vulnerable our infrastructure can be, and certainly if it was a bit more of a coordinated, intentional cyber attack, these are the real life consequences of how economies can be affected, literally instantly.
And Damien, I saw you nodding your head when the Marks and Sparks attack was mentioned. Was that one that captured your attention too?
Yeah, very much so. Having worked in the UK previously, and understanding that obviously Marks and Spencer is such a critical component of of lifestyle over there, and to have that industry or that kind of company attacked, and obviously the repercussions, and the significant cost obviously for such a sort of a relatively short time, and obviously consequently the impact on the financial position of them is just, it's really the heart of everything that, from consumers full right through to businesses. So it was a really, really interesting example.
Let's talk a bit about claims. I'm just wondering what sort of claims you're seeing, if the type of claims has changed, if at all, in the last few months. Damien, let's stick with you. What sorts of claims have you been seeing over the last few months?
Yeah, the trend's been similar, but I think the flag that continues to fly is the social engineering piece. Is just the claims from, as a result of phishing, and just the standard stuff we've sort of been talking about, where you get a threat actor that comes in and tries to obviously make you click on a link, tries to get you to transfer funds, all that sort of basic stuff. We still see so much of that because the criminals have so much success with it that tends to be the go-to action. So insurers are certainly wary of that from a claims point of view, and social engineering remains such a high area of concern, particularly with the new advancements with AI and the way that it can be manipulated, and the advanced phishing and that. So the techniques to improve it are just meaning there's more and more claims activity.
And Declan, what claims are you seeing?
Yeah, look, I'd follow on from what Damien's mentioned. I think that the social engineering piece, from what we're seeing, truthfully, as a broker, is still definitely the most prevalent. I would say potentially maybe we're just starting to see them become a little more targeted, industry specific, definitely more sophisticated, in terms of some of the attacks and that kind of thing that we're seeing. But yeah, social engineering piece is still, business email compromise, still sorts of the majority of the claims, at least, that I see. So.
And Jono, I suppose ransomware fits into that social engineering category generally, doesn't it? Is that, and that's what you're seeing?
Yeah, I'd say from our side, there's probably been the biggest change, probably in the last sort of 6, 12 months, or even now. From an extortion side, it's still that's the go-to tactic. But I think what we are seeing when we speak to a lot of the forensics teams, the incident responders, is that the criminals aren't dwelling as long as they used to. They're not really looking to encrypt data or systems if they get detected a lot faster. So what they'll do is if they find the important data, they'll just simply copy that and then use that as the extortion to really get the crux of the business to try and pay them, because it's really hard to restore from backup and to get usual incident response plans in play. And I guess depending on the data, paying the ransom could potentially be a lot more of a feasible avenue even for businesses who say we'll never ever pay a ransom. So yeah, definitely a bit of an interesting tactic there.
And Jono, let's stick with you. What do you see as a couple of your main challenges ahead as a cyber broker in the insurance market, or just in your daily work?
Yeah, sure. I'd say it's just at the time of the year, and I was just saying to Declan before the call. It's the Q2 gauntlet. The majoring crunch is really on. So, at the moment, I think, especially in the soft cyber market, we can't afford to be complacent at all. We all know that as brokers. Certainly, if we're not getting the best deal for our clients, there might be another broker that's going to do that. So, we really want to be making use of the good conditions, but at the same time, it is making sure we're doing a thorough job.
And Damien, is it that extra competition you're feeling right now that's also, your big challenge now?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But again, coming back to Jono's point, just around the complacency piece, it really is the biggest challenge for us. And just hearing some of the information come out of CERT over the last couple of days, with 1.6 billion in losses last year in New Zealand from cyber-related crime. I mean, it's a huge number, really. And just using that as kind of leverage to support our discussions with clients, that these numbers are big. So it's something that still needs to be considered and understood.
And Declan, lastly with you, what's on your mind as you talk to clients about challenges they might have?
It's a good question. I think that truthfully, one of the tricky things of this period is just going to be I guess, like making sure our attention to detail, or like our commitment to the differentiation between policies is going to sort of maintain itself, or like be improved, because I think like not all cyber policies are built the same. So there's a piece there in terms of helping clients understand, policy nuances, sublimits, exclusions, incident response services, that kind of thing. Obviously, that's a critical part of our role, but obviously there's an increased commitment there whenever we have a softer market, because not every cyber policy that's out there is built the same. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Declan, and thanks to all our guests. And that wraps up our Cyber Power panel for New Zealand. Thanks for watching Insurance Business TV. Bye for now.